GM everyone, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Starknet Special, your weekly dive into the people and projects shaping the future of Starknet. I'm your host, Uchi. Today, I'm super excited to be joined by someone building one of the most refreshing applications on Web3, Laurent, founder of Focus Tree. If you've been on CryptoX lately, you've probably heard or seen a tree and a timer and a lot of people talking about focus to earn. Well, this is where it all gets started. In this session, we'll get into Focus Tree and what inspired its creation.
Welcome, Laurent, to the show. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Nice. Well, thanks for having me, and let's get into it.
Oh, yeah, great. So let's start with you introducing yourself to our audience and tell us a bit about how you guys got involved with building productivity apps.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Laurent. I'm the co-founder at Focus Tree. Focus Tree is an app that helps students be more productive. We currently have around 65K daily active users and around 300K monthly active users. It's been growing crazy this past couple months. So yeah, super excited. I also do a bit of product, but I'm mostly the guy who takes care of the growth, the marketing, TikTok, Instagram, all this stuff.
Great, great. I just got involved with Focus Tree recently, and I have to say it's very addictive. That's one thing for sure, and it has definitely helped me focus more on things. So I could just start a session trying to start coding now, and I'll say, okay, I want to code for the next 2 hours, and then I'll set it on Focus Tree, and it has certainly helped improve my productivity as far as
Nice.
concentrating is concerned. That leads me to the question, what inspired you to build this? Did you have concentration issues like me? How did the whole inspiration come about?
Well, can you? How did we get the idea? Is that the question?
Yeah, what inspired the creation of Focus app? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. So the story is that Gabin and myself, we knew each other for a long, long time before we started doing anything, regarding entrepreneurship. And the funny part is that we actually met during a self-development event in Paris 10 years ago when we were like 21 or 22 years old. So the common thing we had with Gabin was actually this concept of improving yourself. We were the guys that were into focus apps, cold shower, just be careful with what you eat and everything. So when we decided to build a company together, it just made a lot of sense for us to actually do something in the realm of self-development, right? Because that was the thing that really put us together initially. And the question was, what, right? Because there's many ideas within self-development, right? And Focus App became pretty obvious when we realized that people around us were just constantly addicted to their phone, especially younger generations. And it was becoming a huge problem. I mean, I remember when I was a manager for a big company, people in my team, even for them, it was hard to work because they always had their phone next to their computer and they will get unfocused every 2 minutes with the notification. And obviously we have younger people in our families that just, go on TikTok when they are at the dinner table and things like that. So yeah, it was very obvious for us that it was something that needed to be done. When you look at the average time spent on phones, it's been increasing greatly this past 10 years to a point when you reach 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day on your phone. So something had to be done. The question was how. So we look at the market, we look at the current Focus app, and we felt like none of them really, gave a good solution. Basically, you had two big categories in Focus app. You had the Focus app made by engineers for engineers. So it was very black and white, very minimalistic type of Focus app. Usually, like I said, it was created by a guy who was 30 years old plus. But the problem is that because they were very minimalistic, it didn't appeal to the Gen Z, to the young people. And so every time there was a new app like this coming out on the market, which was every week basically, they never find any mainstream adoption, right? Because they were
Yeah.
really made for like super high level people, engineers, and things like that. And on the other side, you had the more Gen Z apps like Forest, who are very old. So Forest is like a main competitor. They were created 12 years ago, and they didn't really change anything in the app. They became very lazy with time. I think they probably started making a lot of money, and then they were like, okay, that's it. We're just going to take the money. We're not going to improve anything in the app. So that was the situation that we saw and nobody else saw. There was those two categories, minimalistic app, a lot of them coming up every week, but wasn't made for young people. And on the other side, you had these colorful apps like Forest, but it was the only one, and nothing was updated in 10 years. So we decided to go for the big market with something more colorful, but something new, something with novelty. And that's how Focus Tree became. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the remarkable things I find about Focus Tree is the approach that it's taking. I think it's taking a gamified approach, which makes it all the
Yeah.
more appealing and what would you say, even more addictive. And addictive is a strong word considering that we're trying to stay away from phone.
No,
But this
you can say
addiction,
addictive.
yeah,
You can
yeah,
say addictive. Yeah,
yeah, because it's
we're
positive
fighting the
too.
enemy. We're fighting the enemy with the same weapon as them. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
exactly. So this gamified approach, what pulled you guys towards making it more gamified? Because I find it very interesting and very, it's a remarkable approach too.
Yeah. No, I mean the reality is that if you don't have a gamified app, it's going to be impossible to get any retention or any appeal. The reality is that, especially younger people, but even me, I'm 32, but even me, like I grew up with games. So, if something is not gamified, it's going to be very hard for me to get into it, right? I think the best example here is to obviously talk about Duolingo. I think Duolingo was one of the biggest inspiration for Focus Tree. It's an app that came out like maybe 12 years or 10 years, even 12 years ago, with a founder from Guatemala. And I mean, the guy is a real inspiration. He understood that if he wanted to get people to learn languages, he needed to gamify the experience. And I know there is a lot of debate that, you don't really learn the language with Duolingo, but, I'm not going to get into this here, but still it's remarkable what they've achieved, like from a business perspective, and also the impact that they have on people, right? And Duolingo is really that, like they gamified languages. And so, yeah, we got very inspired by them. And I think it's working pretty well for us.
I believe it's truly working, and I'm speaking from my own personal experience, and I've gotten some of my friends involved to also download the app, and especially within my developers community. So we have a period where we do a stand-up session, and in this period we'll just be like, let's all put our focus on and make sure we concentrate and do this. So I mean, it's fun in a way when we do it. It's actually one of the things I like about the app. Another thing I noticed is that the Focus Tree is now on chain. Have you always envisioned Focus Tree to be a Web3 application?
Yeah, actually, yeah, because I mean, both myself and Gabin, we are coming from the world of crypto initially. The funny thing is that we actually built the app, like the first version of the app, for Web3 people. So obviously, it was a very different type of app, looked very different, but it was made for Web3 people. Then we realized that it's a very small market and they don't really need focus apps that much. So we kind of pivoted to our students who are really the natural audience for focus apps, and then after that we're gonna grow. But yeah, I mean, Web3 has been part of the app since almost day one. So yeah, yeah, it's something that also, I mean, I believe that Web3 is a new technology that is gonna allow a lot of use cases, interesting use cases. Obviously, we're still exploring about like regarding Web3, like a lot of apps and a lot of teams. But I think it's gonna pay dividends down the road. We already can see a couple of use cases that are low only with Web3, and so slowly but surely we're getting there. There was a major turnaround, I think, 2 weeks ago when we put a lot of things on chain, and that was a major day for Starknet as well because a lot of traffic are coming from Focus Tree, and I think it was a very important step for actually crypto in general. I think Focus Tree is one of the only apps that have like smoothless transition regarding crypto. Like it's really something that you don't have to active any wallet. You don't have to put any seed phrase. Everything is like seamless. And that's the first step that is very important, right? Because at the end of the day, if we want crypto to become mainstream, we need to provide this kind of experience. And I think Focus Tree really led the way, and Starknet, because we couldn't do it without Starknet, to be honest. So yeah, it was a great thing, great event.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that. It seems like Focus Tree have a track record of onboarding massive, what would you say, users in such a short period. So I was looking at X yesterday and I realized that within the past week, 2 weeks, approximately 2 weeks, as a consequence of Focus Tree integrating the whole Starknet, we have 150,000 plus users already onboarded on the platform, which is something that is, what would you say, a great milestone, because even Ethereum.org tweeted it out yesterday, and there's also a buzz about it on the whole ecosystem currently, which makes me I want to ask, what is the typical focus section? What does it look like? Can you walk, like for someone that is just getting into it, what would a typical focus section look like?
A typical focus session, is that what you meant?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I will say 98% of the user base are students in Focus Tree. So yeah, it's mostly Web2 people who've never heard of Web3, and I think that's one of the many appeal of Focus Tree for the crypto ecosystem is that not only we can bring like a lot of people, we also bring people that were not exposed to crypto before that. And so that's a great way to get them on board, because then it opens up a lot of different roads. For example, the old point of financialization, like like we could turn the wallet into some kind of DeFi protocol where people will be able to get to earn some money, or just to get some stable coins, because a lot of people, for example, they are coming from countries where sadly the dollars is not accessible. So we could turn Focus Tree into this financial product as well on the side. So there's many options like that. So yeah, but yeah, typically this is a students, and it's a big market, 500 million students in the world. So we have time to grow. But I think once we saturated that market, I think we could open up to other type of people. I mean, everyone is struggling with phone addiction. Also people, who have jobs and everything. So it's a big market. I mean, if you look at the problem itself, which is addiction to their phone, it's almost, I don't know, like probably 80% of the planet. So it's really big.
One thing I think I can attribute is you guys have nailed a balance between productivity and fun, right? And so the question is, how is there reward for people that are disciplined and stay true focus sessions, and what is the reward, and what would you say the repercussion for those that break focus, stop the focus in the middle of the session?
Yeah, I mean, so it's the rewards are mostly coming from the game itself. Right now, we are also rethinking the reward system, as so there's going to be a new version actually coming today. So it's something really new, but what's going to happen now is that at the end of every focus session, if you succeed, you're not just going to earn one type, but you're going to earn some coins. And with the coins, you're going to be able to buy different tiles and build your garden the way you want. And then after that, we're going to add more use cases for the coins. So yeah, that's usually what you get. At some point, there may be some crypto rewards, but we're not sure yet. I think we really need to first get to the first base, which is, people love the app. I mean, honestly, we're already close. The reason why we have so many users is because people that just come back every day to use the app, but we still need to work the retention. Like, we still want to be able to, I mean, I think I would like to be able to be at the same metrics as Duolingo in terms of retention. And so we're really getting closer and closer every day. And then after that, we're going to think about, okay, how do we give more rewards? How do we perhaps give some crypto? But it's something that I think we should think after, not first. Because you want to just have people coming to the app for the love of the app, basically. And for people who don't succeed at their focus session, right now there is nothing special. We thought about things like you could bet some kind of crypto, or maybe you could just put out some coin, and if you don't meet the criteria, then it fails. But I don't know. Usually people don't like to lose. That's the thing. They just
Yeah.
they want the rewards, but they never want to lose. I mean, you see that in crypto all the time, right? People will invest some money. They're always willing to earn more money, but when they lose, they get really, really mad. That's just
Sure.
humans, right? So with focus session, it's kind of the same. Like you don't want to, you don't want to be too bad with them when they fail.
Yeah, sure. I think one thing I can relate with the Focus app and Duolingo is the idea of keeping streak. Because I also have, I'm also using Duolingo. I think I have about 600 days plus streak on Duolingo, and that's also one thing that
Wow,
I'm
okay.
aiming for. It's something that I'm aiming for on Focus Street too. I'm actually learning French, so bonjour.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's something that I'm looking to also maintain on Focus Tree. I think this is one of the things that is a feature that I think that is going to keep more people. Another feature that I find remarkable is the idea of gardens. For I think I have about a couple of ties on my Focus Tree now. So the question will be, are they just tiles or they represent something more? Those gardens, do they represent something more? Or are they just true to beautify the gardens?
Yeah, I mean, the garden is a direct representation of your capacity to focus on whatever you love. And so that's really the feeling that we want to bring. Like when you look at your garden, you should feel proud about yourself. I'm not sure we need to work on this to make it more obvious, obviously, but that's like the end goal for us. Like you should be proud of you when you look at your garden. When you have like a big garden, you're like, wow, okay, that represents a lot of focus that I had in my life in these past 2 years or 6 months. So that's kind of the idea. And obviously, the garden is a way for people to express creativity as well. It's something that is very important. Human psychology is very complex. There is like different drives, and also depending on your personality, you're gonna be more into one type of drive than the other. So, for example, me, I love to collect. Yeah, I'm the guy who, like I'm gonna try to get all the ties from one theme, right? And I'm gonna like be obsessed with it. And then once I do it, I will feel happy because I will feel complete. So I'm a collectioner. But for example, Gabin is not really a collectioner. What he loves is he's more like a creative person, and he loves to create the garden. Because he can decide how it's going to look like, and he's going to really own the thing, right? And so depending on the person, also there are some people who love social, right? So they're more going to be looking into the feed. They're going to invite their friends. They're going to maybe want to do some challenges. That's really what they respond to. So the idea is to build an app that can appeal to all these different personalities. And the garden is definitely more for creative persons.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm one of those people that want to organize my garden in such a way that whenever I open it, it's going to be so appealing. And I think that's one of the things I want to point to community gardening. What's also the idea behind community gardening? I guess is to foster, collaborations on, people working together. Would that is that a correct assessment of it?
Yeah, completely. I mean, the idea was to just make the garden a social experience as well. So you don't only do the garden by yourself, but you do it with friends. We need to rework a bit on the garden, but usually the way people do it is that they have two gardens, one just for them and one for them and their friends. So that's usually what I see. So you have your own thing that nobody can mess up, and you have the one with your friends where you can have fun. That's usually how it goes, but it's not obvious yet. We need to rework a bit the way you can create gardens, because it's not the case. You cannot create garden at the moment, but yeah.
Okay. Talking about getting users on board, one of the things that has been synonymous with Focus Tree is the ability to gather users in such a short period of time. I think it was about last year. You guys went from just 2,000 users to 100
Mm.
and something thousand. That was in 14 days. Truly
Yeah.
remarkable. And then it's been replicated now on Starknet too, on chain now from just between 2 weeks. We have 150,000 people
Yeah.
plus on Starknet. What do you think is fueling this growth?
Me? No. I mean, I'm the one really doing the growth, and the marketing and the distribution. It's something that I'm really obsessed about. I think I probably spend 80% of my time every day thinking about how do we bring new users to the app. I think we struggled a lot last year, to be honest, because that's how it is in entrepreneurship. First, you struggle, you try different thing, it doesn't work, and then at some point, you keep pushing, and something just clicks. And then, when it clicks, it just becomes magical, and then usually the growth can be exponential. And yeah, what really clicked for us last year was actually going on TikTok and understanding how to maneuver the algorithm on TikTok. So we usually work with like creators all around the world, and yeah, they create content about focus tree, and this strategy has been working really really well. Part of it is because we have a very appealing app, so it's not that hard to sell focus tree to people because it's very colorful. The art is beautiful. We are also tackling a real world problems. It's something that is very important. Like the issue of focusing is something that is very common among students. So it just makes sense, right? When you see a content with focus tree inside, you just like, that looks pretty cool. I want to try it. And then you ask in the comment, what's the app? And then the creator will answer that's focus tree. And because of that, we've been able to drive more than 1 million downloads. Yeah.
I think one of the unique approaches you guys have taken is getting on TikTok, which is why I want to ask, do you think, because crypto as a general, blockchain as a general, it seems to be like we are all focused on X and Twitter. That's where the majority of the activity is domiciled. Do you think moving crypto a bit to TikTok is going to get more user adoption into it?
So it's not really about crypto. The question is more, what about your product? Like, what is your product doing? What kind of audiences are you trying to attract? I think that's really the first question that every founder need to ask themselves. And then once they're clear on this, when they have like a very clear definition of who they want as a user, then only they can think about, okay, should I go on TikTok? Should I go on X? Should I go on LinkedIn? And things like that. But you need to answer those first questions. I'm always dazzled by, when I talk with founders and I ask them, who is your audience? And they do not know who they are. And that's when I realized they didn't even talk to the potential users. Like they just have no idea, right? It's coming from like a very center ego place, and it's okay. But like, it's like they're building a product, but they don't really build a product for users. They just build a product for themselves. And after they realize that nobody wants it, or they don't know how to market, they don't know who to target. And I'm like, yeah, but it's like, it's an inclusive movement. When you build a product, you're doing for people. So you need to talk with those people first and know who they are. And then after you can think about building your products. But yeah, going back to your question, usually the crypto audience is on X, and actually mostly on X, and then maybe a little bit on YouTube and TikTok, but it's mostly on X. So if you're targeting crypto native, then you should be on X 100%. But if you're trying to get non-crypto people, then X is usually not the place. But it's very specific, right? Because yeah, it really depends, like on the type of audience you're going after.
Yeah. I know you mentioned that the primary audience for Focus Tree is students. I mean, 500 students around the world is a massive market to explore. Have there
500
been
million, yeah.
any, yeah, have there been any surprising communities that, you didn't think they were going to buy into the idea of Focus Tree that have,
Yeah.
adopted this year?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest surprise for us is that it's mostly high school people using the app and not college people. I mean, we still have a lot of colleges coming with us, but yeah, initially we really built Focus Tree around universities and colleges. So people who are like 18 18 years old plus. And then when we started doing the TikTok strategy, we realized that 80% or 90% of the people downloading the app were actually high school students. So that was the big surprise. And we were not ready for this because, for example, in the first version, when we launched on TikTok, we had what's called a school picker in the onboarding. So people could choose their school. So it will be easier to find their friends. And we only had the school picker for university and colleges. But all the high school people were like, okay, but where is my school? And like, oh, fuck, well, we don't have any high school. So we had to like update the whole database so we could also include high school because that's where most students are coming from. And it's actually a very good audience. A lot of people, when they hear high school, they're like, oh, they don't have money. It's like, first, that's not true. They have a bit of money, but most important, they have a lot of friends. And that's something people forget is that when you're very young, you have many friends. And as you get older, you have less and less friends, right? So the problem is if you want to go viral, when you target audience who are like 20 plus or 25 or 30 years old plus, is that it's going to be almost impossible because the reality is that people who are 30 years old plus, they have maybe 2, 3, 4 friends max that they will recommend the app. But in high school, we often see users recommending the app to the whole class, right? Because they have like 15 friends, 20 friends. And so it's much easier to grow in high school than it is to grow with all the crowd. And the thing is that also we have a use case that can be kept for many years, right? So when we get a user who is like 14 years old, 15 years old, they're going to go to college after, right? So they're going to be in school until 25 years old. So if we are able to set this habit, which we are right now, they're going to keep using the app for the next 10 years and maybe even after college. So I think it's good to take them very young.
Yeah, great. I mean, this is a fantastic approach that you guys have also taken. Let's dive into a bit to the tech aspect of it. Why did you choose Starknet to build on?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. So when we thought about crypto, we looked at different blockchains. We did like a bit of, we study a bit on who made a lot of sense. And I think Starknet for us was the obvious choice for two reasons. The first one, it was the promises because we started like 3 years ago. So it was not the Starknet of now. It was like mostly promises because they were building it. But I think the account abstraction was a big one because our idea already was to make the crypto seamless, right? So we were looking for a blockchain that could really abstract all this, crazy action that you have to do, like confirm a transaction, the seed phrase, and all that jazz. So we were looking for a blockchain that was going into that direction. And Starknet was showing a lot of promises towards this. And so there was not even a mainnet when we started on Starknet 2 years or 3 years ago. So that was the first thing. And then the second one was just the team. We just talked to the team a lot, different teams from different blockchain, and just the people at Starkware just seemed to be, like the right team. Like they had a lot of expertise, they had a lot of technical talents, which is what you need. They also had very serious backers. Obviously, they had like huge track records. I mean, the founders, Yuri, Eli, I mean, all these guys. So yeah, for us, it was the right decision to do. And I think it's showing that it was the right choice. I mean, it's working really well now for Focus Tree. So.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I think one impressive thing about this is I didn't realize I had a Starknet wallet on Focus Tree until, the whole, I started looking deep into Twitter. So these are like abstractions that, ordinary users on a normal day, they will find it difficult to navigate through. But Focus Tree have found a way to, make these things so seamless. And again, I realized the integration of Paymaster from Avnu is also part of it. I think I was reading recently, who tweeted about it? Free on Starknet tweeted about how the amount that has been spent on gas fees for on-chain activities has been absolutely minimal, and that can only be possible as a consequence of how cheap the Starknet ecosystem is. So, how has this partnership with Paymaster and Agent? I understand Agent is the wallet that is being integrated into Focus Tree.
Yeah.
How has this integration or partnership helped user experience?
Yeah, I mean, it's like we said, like the most important is to provide a seamless, like a seamless experience regarding blockchain and crypto to all of users. At the end of the day, they are here to focus. They are not here to confirm transaction and take note of seed phrases. So yeah, I think definitely like without Starknet, the Paymaster, and Argent, we couldn't have done much. So I mean, again, thanks to them. I think it wouldn't have been possible. Like, we needed this piece of infrastructure. It's kind of like a puzzle. Like we had different pieces, and we just with Focus Tree we brought it together to actually make the puzzle. And now it's like beautiful and it's working. And also the future looks bright because, like you say, it's very cheap, but it's going to get cheaper and cheaper every day, which will allow us to actually scale easily because Focus Tree right now, I mean, I know it's really big for crypto, but for me, it's very small. We are aiming to have like hundreds of millions of users. I mean, that's really the end goal here, just like Duolingo. And so we have to kind of think about what it's going to be for Starknet when we have hundreds of millions of users, right? Like how cheap can we get with the thing? Like, can we scale? So this is very exciting for everyone, I think, within Starknet. I think we are really a great use case. I think we are also making history in a bit because, to be honest, we are one of the biggest Web3 products in the world, even if you compare to Solana or any other ecosystem. And it's just going to get bigger. I mean, for example, let's face it, we're not going to have a bear market at Focus Tree. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know what is a bear market at Focus Tree because students, they're still going to need to focus. They don't care about crypto. So we're still going to grow within the bear market, unlike every other Web3 games that exist or Web3 protocols or whatever, or like Pump.Fun or something. It's not the case for us. So yeah, I'm very excited about the future, and I'm really excited to see how far we can get with the blockchain and how much can we push the limits of crypto.
Yeah, and that is the beautiful thing about what you guys are doing. I mean, who would have thought that a productivity app would bring more users to the ecosystem than, like DeFi protocols that we already see? And that is one thing that I think is caused so much, what would you say, positive uproar in the ecosystem now, because it's remarkable that we are having to see such growth in a short period of time, which is one thing that's going to lead me to what's the difficulty of building a productivity app in comparison to building DeFi platforms?
I do not know because I've never built a DeFi protocol. I have a lot of respect for DeFi. I think they're really going after like a worth mission, which is to help people with financialization. So again, like I have a lot of respect for DeFi in general. But it's really not something I would ever build. This is not my strong suit. So yeah, I have no idea. Like, to be honest, we usually put everyone into one category, which is entrepreneurship. But the reality is that there's many ways to live entrepreneurship, right? So depending on what kind of business you want to do, what kind of what kind of how can I say a sector you want to go after, then you're gonna have a completely different experience. I don't think I would ever be able to build a DeFi protocol, in my opinion. What I'm really good at is more like mass consumers. That's really our strong suit at Focus Tree.
Great. One more thing, what's the opportunities for people on Focus Tree? I'm talking about, let's say, devs, contributors. Are there opportunities for people to get involved with Focus Tree beyond user adoption? And again, because I know you guys, you're working with a lot of content creators too, and there's still opportunity for content creators and developers, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think the biggest one right now, the biggest opportunities with creators, we currently don't have position open at Focus Tree at the moment inside the team. However, we are always looking for good creators. And the best way to do it is to actually create and then send me the content, and then we can talk. So yeah, I mean, just tap Focus Tree on TikTok and you will see a lot of videos who are coming out. So you have some kind of idea of what is working. And then, yeah, we currently have a lot of users actually creating content on TikTok who are not paid. So that's also pretty good. But and usually we like to hire those people because they show they could create content first and they are interested in focus tree. That's usually a great sign for a good relationship, right? Besides the money, they really love what we do first, and
Yeah.
that's like a great way to kickstart the relationship with us, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. The
Like
big
we say,
one.
show don't tell.
So, okay, so the big one is I know you tweeted out recently and you have about 160 million views on TikTok. When do you foresee the big one, 1 billion views?
1 billion views?
1
Fuck.
billion.
I don't know. I think it can get sooner than what we think. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a matter of scaling it. I think I explained this a couple of times on my X accounts, but when you do like content creation like us, this viral TikTok strategy, it's harder to scale than ads, right? Because the thing with ads is that you just need to put more budgets and then it's gonna grow in terms of views, right? But it costs a lot of money. But at least it's very linear, like it's very easy. But when you're making content like ourselves, the scaling aspect is very difficult. So it's something that we're thinking and working on every single day. How do we scale this to 1 billion views? And I think at some point we're gonna crack it. It's just a matter of time. But I think definitely, I mean, if I had to give, I think that by this year we're gonna be able to reach 1 billion views. I think, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
great, great. That's a lot of optimism. Just before we wrap it up, what is the future for Focus Tree? What are we expecting?
The same as for every company, I think, which is to get more users and build the best product ever. I think that's really what it is about. That's really what we spend most of our time on. But yeah, that's the idea. I mean, I think we already have like a good, lovable product. The reviews are amazing. People love it, but there is always room for improvement. So that's what we're really working on, how to make the best focus product that ever existed on Earth. That's what we do. And then obviously how to get users, which is obviously much easier when you have like an amazing product. And that's it. That's like 99% of what we do and what we think of in the team.
Yeah, yeah. So I do a session in the episode where it's called the rapid fire session, where I basically ask you questions and you answer as quick as possible, the first answer that
Oof.
comes to your mind. Yeah.
I feel the pressure.
Sure. Okay. What's your favorite Starknet project apart from Focus Tree?
Wait, say it again. Say it again. Sorry.
Your favorite Starknet project besides Focus Tree?
Well, I mean, I will say Avenue because without them, yeah, we wouldn't be here. So, and also I love the founder, so that works.
Okay. Great, great. One productivity tip for staying focused in this chaotic world of Web3, what would that be?
We use Focus Tree. That's it.
Oh, great. Last week. Last one. Biggest lesson from going Focus Tree to 1 million downloads.
Um, try things that were not I don't know. No, I will say just build the best product ever. Just focus on users and talk to them. Yeah, I think that's the lesson. Talk to your users. I think it's something people forget in Web2.
Great, great. I have to say it's been a pleasure having this conversation with you, Laurent. Thank you
Same.
so much for joining us.
Sure, sure. Well, let's do it again in 1 year and see where Focus Tree is.
Sure, sure. I'm always open to having conversations on the ecosystem. So yeah.
Definitely. Thanks a lot for the invitation. And yeah, I will see you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And bye to everyone. Ciao.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like the video, drop a comment with your thoughts or questions, and subscribe to Starknet Espresso for more conversations with builders shaping the Starknet ecosystem. I remain your humble host, Uche. Until next time, stay focused and grow your garden. Bye.